All right. Welcome back finally to another episode of the Built by Bailey's podcast. It's been a long time. I actually trying to figure out a few minutes ago how long it's been. And I don't want to say this, but I think it's been almost a year. So
Yeah.
time flies when you're busy. And this is going to be episode one of a more refined Built by Bailey's podcast called The Real Estate Reward. And if you guys are watching on the video, you can see someone next to me, and it's not Evan and it's not Dr. Matt. It is Morgan Schmidt.
Hello,
Morgan
hello.
is someone I've known for quite a long time. And Morgan is a real estate agent in Florida, hot, sweaty, humid, crazy Florida. And I am so excited because I've been wanting Morgan to get into the real estate game for a long time. And when I finally found out that she was taking her classes and then got her license and then joined a team, I was super excited. But I wanted her to go one step further. I wanted her to join a team that I know very well with a bunch of people that actually could take her even further. And she is now part of a team that is actually crushing the country. And it's really, 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 really exciting for me to do this podcast with her called The Real Estate Reward. And this is one you guys can check out on the same streaming platforms here on the YouTube channel, on all audio platforms. And we talk about, obviously, real estate. But Morgan is going to share all of her insight, knowledge, pros and cons, and all the excitement in the real estate world. We'll talk about all kinds of stuff on here. Hopefully, at some point, we'll go live as well. So, Morgan Schmidt, finally, welcome to the
Thank
podcast.
you.
How are
Thank you.
you?
Good. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah,
I've been wanting to do this with you for a while as well.
I
So,
know. We've been talking about this for quite a bit, quite a bit. So here we are doing
Shane,
episode one.
Shane, is my mentor, so I want to introduce him as well.
Well,
Uh,
I think
he's
I may
good. The
be
one
a
that,
little bit of catalyst, but I wouldn't call myself a mentor to you for sure. I'm just excited that not many people listen to me. So it's good that you're like, well, maybe I'll try this because this is so your thing. Like and I think you're realizing that now, right? It's
yeah.
so your thing. So I'm
But you
glad you're
got
doing
me
it.
into real estate, so I just want to let everyone know that Shane's the reason that I'm here today. So,
Well, I'm glad that you took my opinion on this industry and said, I'll take a chance and do it. Morgan used to be out here with me in Colorado. She actually worked for me at Bailey Custom Homes as well and did a fantastic job there. But the whole time, I kept thinking and telling her, and we had many chats because we were always talking about real estate too. And I said, you have to get into this. You just have to do it. And I do believe you started your real estate pre-licensing out here, right?
I did. I did. I
Yeah.
started taking the classes out there
Yep.
and then
Yep.
had to move to Florida, so
Yep.
started all
Yep.
over again down here.
But you did it. You're here. You're licensed. You're
Yes.
with a great team. You're actually heading a team now.
Yes.
You have your own team. Which I mean, how long has it been since you actually got your license? It's been a very short period of time, right?
Yes, I got it in, April 2020, so it's
Okay.
not been very long at all. I
Yeah.
just have my prior experience from working with you, and then, yeah, I've just been hitting the books and hitting the streets out here, just getting clients' homes in the crazy market that we just had to endure, so
And it's only going to get crazier, which is that's all part of the system. Real estate is definitely an ebb and flow type industry, and you're going to see all kinds of it. You've gotten in at a really interesting time. You got in, I mean, when everything was just absolutely crazy. Things have started to settle a little bit, but we could be very volatile here very quick. So within less than 3 years, Morgan has gone from getting her license to heading a team with EXP, and I think it's really cool. And before we get too much into like all the other stuff, I kind of want you to kind of just talk about, kind of just give us a summary of how it all came to be. Like, how did you get into this? Obviously, we had our own chats, but you kind of just give us like a little Cliff Notes version of how everything went and how you ended up here running your team with EXP too.
So I started at a different brokerage and
Mhm.
right when I got my license, I was blessed. One of my friends was doing new construction, which I had experience with you of walking through. So I was able to help guide them. Um, and I was liking my old brokerage, but a lot of the classes and things were, were in person, and I'm very busy. So, uh, when you introduced me to everyone on my upline, they were really inspiring. And so it was nice to kind of get that other perspective of, oh, this one brokerage isn't the only one out there. And then, oh, you can attend classes whenever you want, and you have, 50 plus live stream classes a day. And so at first, that we were just talking, and Adrian, who you introduced me to,
Mhm.
first, he actually was, we were just encouraging each other and swapping ideas. And then one day I just went to him and was like, "Hey, how do I switch?" And now I have this great team that they do, live streams, they do
Mhm.
Zooms, we do sales calls. It's been very just career launching. I was able to join EXP, and I brought over one of my friends, one of my good co-agents, to my team to EXP, and
Mhm.
then my one of my best friends actually got her license, and so we are
Nice.
partnering together, and we've always worked together in the past. So we it's just a little small team for now, but it's
Mhm.
great to kind of be able to bounce ideas off each other, kind of co-market, teaming up with lenders. We each have our own, subs that we can contact for clients' homes who need to get work done. And so it's just kind of nice to work as a unit.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I think the best part of the reason why I wanted you was, like, encouraging you to switch is because I think with most brokerages, and I've done this a long time, I've had my own brokerages, I was with other ones for a little bit, and the biggest thing in this industry, I mean, I would say with a lot of them, but especially new agents starting, is the support level. Not just like the training from the employing brokers and making sure that your contracts are lined out right, and your listings are correct and whatever. It's just the support of bouncing, like you said, bouncing ideas off each other. Um, Not just finding even leads, but just really like, how do I network myself? Because you are the business in real estate, and that you are. It's not a business; it's you're the business, and I mean, you've certainly figured that out with all the successes that you've had in a very short period of time. But that only happens with a really good support team, and it's not, like I said, it's not just trainings. It's literally talking to each other and sharing ideas. Sometimes new agents have a great way of you know getting into a different part of whatever it is as far as networking goes, or they have a good idea on how to specialize somewhere, or what neighborhoods you should be looking into, or what is your niche, um, and just sharing the ideas. I mean, like I said, in a lot of industries, but especially real estate, is so important. And I think you really get that with the guys that you're with the people that you're with right now. And I'm hoping that case, and I'm hoping that continues. From what I'm seeing to this point, it certainly has been the case.
The support level from switching, because I kind of, when I started, it got really, busy really quickly, and I had a line I could call. But, mainly I was on my own, figuring out how to do the transactions, figuring out how to get my offers accepted, figuring out how, to grow my business. And so it's just, being able to sit here and talk and have masterminds and just find out what they're doing all across the country.
Hmm.
Because our team, we're all across the country. And so it is nice hearing about other markets, hearing about how they deal with investors and what they do, and just kind of, you know, being like a family. So it's
Hmm.
definitely been career changing, just to have that support that before, I learned. That's why I started a team, because I learned it all on my own. And so
Yeah.
I wanted, to be able to be a support person. And I actually became a mentor through EXP as well. So I get to mentor agents through their first three transactions. And so it's not just my team, but also, other new agents, because I don't want anyone to have to go through what I did, of speed learning everything while being
Yeah.
busy. So it's great. I love it.
Yeah, and it's cool that you see that, because I actually ended up in the same boat when I first started. I had to learn everything on my own. I started out kind of just thrown to the wolves. And just as far as like, where do I find the like at my in my years of doing is like, where do I find the contracts? Because some of the like e-cigs and DocuSign stuff was like right on the cusp of becoming the thing. It wasn't there yet, and so a lot of stuff was still paper contracts. We were downloading PDFs off of the Dora websites, and just to understand where to go for a lot of that stuff, I had to figure out all that even on my own. Just like, okay, I got a contract. Wait, where do I go get my contract? None of that was taught. I knew how to write one, but I didn't know where to go find them. And like the manuals and setting things up, none of that was taught to me. So I think there's a part of it that makes you want to be the mentor and the team leader because you were in that situation. But at the same time, there's a huge learning curve, and you can get burned much faster being in that situation. So for you to see that and say, I don't want other people to go through that is really cool, because I was kind of the same way. It's like, people don't need to do it that way. And I don't know if it's the best way for most people to learn it anyway. So to be
It
able
is.
to like replace that is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that, I have personal relationships with the people on my team. I build personal relationships with my mentors. So their clients are also my clients because in essence, I'm helping them get their offer accepted, get the contract written. So, it is kind of like my responsibility at the end of the day to make sure that everything goes smoothly.
Hmm.
Um, and so that does, they do have someone that they can always call, and not just to answer a question, because I did have that when I started, where if I had a question about something very specific, I could call and get an answer. But to just, kind of look at the property, show them where to find the value, our back end valuation, and just to see, what they should offer, how many people in are looking in that area. It's been I like it. It's fun. Just walking. Everyone has their different processes, and showing them my processes, I think helps them because setting up your CRM is a big feat you have to do right in the beginning, and a lot of
Hmm.
agents don't focus on that, and they don't.
Right.
But then you get busy and you're not keeping in contact with your previous clients. So showing them those systems, showing them how to set up their DocuSign so that everything is already templated. All they have to do is plug the names in and it auto fills everything,
Hmm.
because that's an hour each contract of
Right.
going through and editing it. And so showing them how to set all that up. Because at the beginning, I just did it the hard way. Again, I just downloaded the PDF,
Right.
put it in the DocuSign, edited everything one by one, instead of just having a template where it's just ready to go. And so, Google Drive's been a big one for us as well, saving random contracts in there, um, teaching people how to use Google Drive effectively,
Yes.
so that they can, set things up for up and coming properties so that they can easily send it out to people, who might be interested. And yeah, using Google Sheets and plugging
Hmm.
it all in together. So it's fun. I enjoy it. And
Well, yeah, I can see you enjoy it. I mean, you're certainly it's like I said at the beginning of this whole thing. This was like your thing. This, I guess I could just see it. I knew the business, and it's just a matter of kind of like getting you through that front door and saying, just, run with it. I knew you would. But that being said, I know you, and that's why I think that's why you're here, is because I know that this was going to work if we could get you there. But what is it for you, especially for people that don't know you, that got you into this? Like, what was the draw into real estate? I mean, this whole podcast is called The Real Estate Reward, and everybody talks about get into real estate, buy real estate, find a way to do that. But what is it? Because I've talked about this so many times on the podcast about all the different ways you can get into real estate. You're of course an agent, you're running a team. What was it for you that said, okay, maybe Shane's right, or maybe I should listen, or maybe I should try it? What was drawing you into saying, I'll give it a shot and become an agent and go down this weird road?
well, if you didn't notice, when I lived in Colorado, I was obsessively looking at Zillow all the
Mm.
time just to see the houses that were for sale. And I was comparing, how they redid it from things I learned from you about, remodeling and what it would take to make it look that way.
Mhm.
Um, I do, and I just love seeing like the potential in homes from walking an estimate to seeing the completed project. So that kind of got me into it, and being helping manage. trades and other things with you, to show,
Mhm.
oh, you can, flip a home for a decent profit. Like there is money to be made. I can help people make that money as well and get paid for looking at houses all day. That was my biggest. It's like I need I'm on this way too much. I love houses. I love helping people find homes. And I think that just being able to work one on one with somebody and see their specifications, and it almost became, like a game for me, like, oh, I can look through, like, this is the perfect one, and I would just get very excited. Because some people, I started off, I had a part-time job, and
Mhm.
I was full-time. I moved down the part-time to do real estate, and then eventually I was like, I don't want to do anything else.
Mhm.
And so it just kind of made me jump off the board and jump in full time. And I think that that was the big turn in my career. But yeah, just getting started was you. Just seeing,
You're
looking
giving
at
me more
houses.
credit than I should have.
I'm not. Just, you got me into the housing industry, and I absolutely love it. And so just when I moved to Florida, I said, I just need to get my license, and I just need to stop talking about it, because I kept, I did have that fear of, oh, I'm not going to, my test is going to be really hard. I'm not going to
Mhm.
pass, you know. At first, it's like, am I even going to be good at this? And I think, just I had a friend who also encouraged me, everyone in my whole family was supportive, but a friend was like, "Hey, I'm buying a house. Take your test already," because I had
Uh-huh.
been studying and studying and studying and just not pulling the trigger of signing up for the test. And I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna, take the test and see how it goes." And then I took it. I was able to get my license, and then I was able to help her do a cash offer. Got a cash offer on her home so that she could get into a new build, and that was kind of the jump off of right when I got my license. And then another friend had me list their house, and so it's a lot of personal referrals, which is great.
Mhm.
I absolutely love helping my friends and family, and so I feel like just having that extra encouragement of, hey, you better get it done because I'm ready.
Yeah.
So it
I
just
think
pushed me.
yeah, I think it does. It pushes a lot of people that are ready to go. I think it kinda gets them there, but I think you said a couple of things that are really, really, really interesting and important to note is that, 1, I have a lot of people ask me all the time, "Can I do real estate part-time? Is that even possible?" Because the biggest thing is you're commission-based. It's all based on the business that you find, draw up, and close on, right? It's, no one's it's there are some setups that will give you some sort of salary, certain positions, certain firms will do certain things for a little while, but your
Yeah,
money is made buying and selling and completing transactions regardless of what it is, other ways to do investments. But the other part of that is also having a network, which I think is important in life anyway, having a network of people that know you but then are aware of what you're doing or about to do. And so if you're ready to jump into the real estate world, what you want to do is go through all of your contacts and think about all of these people that know you and how do they know you? How do they see you? Who is Morgan right now? Well, all of them, because you're good at just talking with people in a general sense. You're very good at a social environment of networking without even knowing that you're doing it. These people all knew you're about to take your license test to get licensed as an agent to be in real estate, and they're all waiting for you. Some people don't do it that way. They go and they're not networking themselves and making themselves a business, and by the time they get their license, now they have to go hunt because they haven't let anybody know, hey, I'm a real estate agent. And although there's millions of them out there, people only want to use who they know. Whether it's building a home, it's going to be a referral. If it's real estate, it's going to be a referral. That is where your business comes from. Yes, you can spend money on advertising, marketing, all that. But if you don't have that network going just in life, then it's going to be a struggle for you. And if you can't get that put together once you start your licensing career and you become an agent, and you don't know how to do that, you either have to learn or it's not for you. And so I don't think real estate is for everybody. It certainly
I
is not.
agree.
But you were one of those people that already had a giant network working for you no matter what you did. The moment you told people I'm going to be a fill in the blank, they would all be like, okay, Morgan, we're waiting because we have whatever for you to do or, complete for us. Right. And so that's why I was just like, God, if she could just get in the door here, everyone's going to be calling her. Right. And in real estate, if you're the person that knows a person, you learn how to do that, collecting vendors, subcontractors, whatever. Now you have everything at your fingertips and people are going to call you for anything. And they all know now you're an agent. So there you go. Your first few deals were a very close network of friends and family's more difficult to work with, but they're all there, right?
I
They're
worked with
all
my
there.
family, they were great.
Yes.
Luckily,
You
because
know
they
how to
trusted me.
negotiate that. Yes, of course. And
Yeah,
that again is part of the people that need to be in real estate. You have to be if you're not a trusting individual, eventually that rumor, that comes back to other people and your business will stop. Right? You have to do it for real. The truth has to be out there. You have to be transparent and you also have to be able to negotiate people in general. But you had that network set up. So by the time you got your license, you're going to be off and running. I had no worries about that. But the other part is just jumping in full steam and saying, I'm just going to do this full time, which I think my opinion is down the road, sooner than later, you have to, or you're not going to be successful.
I agree.
But when it comes to like your experience starting part time, did that work for you? Would you suggest that? Do you
I
think it's a short term deal?
I would not suggest it. I was available during the day, which was great. I was actually bartending, so it was
Hmm.
great to be able to talk to people saying, "Hey, I'm a realtor."
Right.
Um, but then I was so tired on the weekends when I worked, I was luckily I was off during the week to be able to get my education done, to be able
Hmm.
to get my lead generation done, to be able to do it. A lot of people start, they have 9 to 5s.
Hmm.
I at that point, do you have a personal life? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
because
Right.
I was still, working during the day and I was still staying up till 1 or 2 in the morning
Hmm.
getting stuff done, watching, videos, writing emails and setting them to send at 8 a.m. so people didn't think I was crazy.
Yep.
And so, you know, this little trick of the trade. I'm not gonna email you at 5 a.m. I'll set it to
Yeah,
send right at 8
don't
o'clock.
troll in real estate. If there's emails coming at 3 in the morning, people are gonna get a little bit scared off for sure. No, that's
Yeah.
definitely a trick of the trade.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, I was working very part-time. I was just working, I started at 7 p.m. on Thursday,
Mhm.
Fridays, and Saturday nights. But then I'd work, super late. But
Right.
yeah, I couldn't imagine having to have worked a job Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and then getting off because by the time, you're off, all your clients are off. And
Mhm.
so the questions are rolling in. They want us to do showings. They
Mhm.
want, they want to get more information about a property. So you're completely going to be engulfed in that. And then when are you going to have time to do your marketing, to set your systems up, because that's the biggest thing is setting up your systems right out the gate. Like
Mhm.
I did not do that. And so I was just flying by the seat of my pants. And so that's what I kind of drill into everyone like you have to get your system set up. And if you're working, it takes probably like about a month to really get everything completely where it can be quicker for you. Like you can have a better process.
Yeah.
Um, and that's with doing it Monday through Friday, Monday through Friday without clients. So
Right.
I understand that people want to, have that safety net,
Mhm.
but I don't see them being able to grow it in real estate. I see them having more of a transaction here and there.
Mhm.
Because you can't build your business while you're building up somebody else's business, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And yeah, I think in the beginning, a very, very short period of time, you might be able to make that work. But again, if you feel like you need to do that, I think it's more because you don't think there's a network big enough that you've already built and supported that will let you go just jump off the deep end and just run. And when people are in that situation, I think they need to look back and say, I'm not comfortable creating my own income. Maybe I do just need to have someone else pay me to do something that I want to do. And that's where I would tell people you need to ask the question, is this for me or not? because this is the life. There's months where you make a lot of money and there's months where you make zero money, or you're sending money out to somebody else.
Yeah.
But it's the end of the day, it's just like if you're trading security stocks, whatever it is, it's the same kind of thing. It's, your wins need to be bigger than your losses, and you need to understand when you have losses, what is going on.
Mhm.
And the real estate industry does ebb and flow. So you'll make less money sometimes than others. But at the same time, if you have a system and it works and it's creating, a streamlined bundle of money for you, you're doing it right. If you have a support system like you guys have, and you can bounce ideas off each other to navigate a new market, whatever it is, that's all there, you'll be fine. And is it scary? Of course it is.
Yeah.
If you're kind of like me, where it's like, I mean, I just had this conversation with my wife this morning. Morgan knows Katrina, but God bless her. It's one of those deals where it's there's stress involved, there's anxiety involved, but I'm a glutton for punishment, and I almost thrive in an environment that's completely chaotic or completely stressful, because I know I can fix it or find a solution. And that's where my brain works the best, is in that environment. So that's why those things worked for me. Other people completely flounder in that situation. And that's a sign. People ask, do you think I could be good in real estate? I'm like, well, it really depends on some of these factors I can say, but others are just more of the feeling. And if you have that, more of a glutton for punishment, more of that, I can deal with the anxiety and the stress of I may not make money this month, but you end up figuring it out, I think that you'll be just fine. And if you can deal with that pressure, then you'll be just fine. Or if you like that pressure, you'll do great.
I love the pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, I love go time. If I have my system set up. Even when I didn't though, I was, you just got to hang up the hat of self-doubt and go for it
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
you have a duty to your client to
That's
not be
right.
stressed in that situation. You have a duty to bring them down from being stressed because
Mhm.
every transaction is going to have something go wrong.
That's
You're
right.
not a bad agent because something goes wrong in a
Mhm.
transaction. The appraisal might come back bad, the inspection might
Mhm.
turn out horribly. Financing might have to be re-altered at the very last minute.
Mhm.
It's another inspection might need to quickly be done. There's always going to be something that happens, and
Mhm.
so you kind of just can't let it be deal shattering or earth shattering for you. You just kind of, okay, this happened. Here's the solution. Here's all the people I need to communicate with to get it fixed. Um, but no, it is stressful, but at the same time, I enjoy it. I like
Yeah.
being busy. I like seeing what's going on behind the scenes. I like being involved in every little piece. I have not yet used a transaction coordinator because I'm a little controlling. Um, but we have interviewed some, and I am going to start using them to kind of outsource some of that stress.
Mhm.
And so that's another thing that and my other agents are newer. I'm trying to take some of the stress because they have the stress of learning, doing all their education right now. They have the
Right.
stress of building up their reputation, of being knowledgeable. They have the stress of learning about homes. So I do think that's another thing that a lot of realtors look over, um, is doing a transaction coordinator. I felt comfortable doing it because
Mhm.
I had my transactions staggered. Like the way that they came in, it was staggered. So I was
Mhm.
able to learn all the contracts front to back. That was my biggest thing with starting. I didn't want to use one because I did want to learn how to do it, and I wanted to make sure that I knew the proper timeline, of what I needed to get done
And
in
that's
order.
key. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because a lot of people they start off the bat and they just get a transaction coordinator. But then
Right.
what if you don't know if they're doing a good job? Like what if
That's right.
if you don't know the timeline yourself, if you don't know how it's supposed to be done, how are you supposed to hold them accountable for
Exactly.
everything?
Yep.
So that's why I'm
Exactly.
just now in the like, okay, I'll get a transaction coordinator because I feel comfortable being able to track somebody's progress throughout a transaction to see if they're doing it correctly, if I can blindly trust them with the whole rest of my transactions.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that is a big one that people can do to take stress off of themselves. Personally, I needed the learning experience, but that's our next step is to hire a transaction coordinator so that way everything is streamlined because now that my other agents have gone through transactions, they know how to do them. Now I feel comfortable being like, okay, you guys know the deal. Like now we can hire somebody to kind of outsource some of that stress because
Mhm.
it's just fielding emails is a big one. You know, you can't just go on vacation. You if you have a transaction coordinator, you're able to take more time for yourself to get more involved in your community because how are
Mhm.
you going to meet people if you're kind of behind a computer all day and not out doing things? So yeah, stress is fun for me, but I'm ready to give some of it away.
Yeah, you can't hold it forever. But I think also the key to running and growing a business is I tell people you have to know every part of that business. You have to be able to have the skills to run every part of that business. You cannot run every part of that business, at least not in the long term, but you
Mm-mm.
have to know how to do it. So delegation and outsourcing is very, very important if you're going to continue to grow, but you better know how to do everyone's job in that office.
Yes.
Otherwise, if somebody quits, if somebody you have to fire somebody, if people get sick at times and it's just everything life happens and you got to be able to take over at any given point in time. You just don't want to be doing that for more than a short period of time. It's very intermediary, but if you can't run every part of that business, you better learn.
Yeah.
But at some point, yes, you have to give some of that away. Absolutely.
Oh
So
yes.
that's a huge thing in real estate too.
It
Yeah.
really is being able to let go, like being able to know, hey, I've done my share and then my time is better used elsewhere. If I can hand it off to somebody, if I can have somebody answering the phones for incoming leads, if I can have, somebody taking over the paperwork, then I can actually hit the ground, look at houses with clients, scrub the MLS to make sure I do auto emails, but I also
Mhm.
go through and then pick out the exact homes I think that the client would like based on what they told me their wants and needs are.
Mhm.
Because they don't tell you if it's remodeled, in the auto
Oh,
in the
yeah.
auto email, it just sends everything. So I always follow them up with, "Hey, these out of those properties, these are the ones that I thought you would like." Um,
Right.
and so some of that gets taken away when I'm busy, doing other things. I know it's buying, sometimes buying templates because on Canva it'll take me 2 hours to make one little infographic to send out
Mhm.
because I'm already looking up the information for the market updates. I'm already, looking up the content for it, but the actual design portion of it takes I move it way too much. I'm like, oh, I just need to tilt it a little bit more. So that's been a big time saver because I used to just create all my own. And
Right.
then now I just go to graphic designers on Etsy or on Fiverr and say, look up exactly what I want and say, or reach out to them and say, hey, this is the kind of content I'm going to need. And so just kind of getting that, I had a seller's guide that I made, I had a buyer's guide that I made. It wasn't that pretty. So I went I went and got a template to put all the information in, and so that's
Mhm.
been, like, a huge time saver, from where I started of doing it by myself, to
Mhm.
now being able to just find the information, have the information to be able to plug into the design. So I do think outsourcing is definitely important.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you just there's so many little things that can be I call it busy work, but it's important work. All of that has to happen at some point. A lot of this stuff you learn how to find these outsourcing models, templates, learn about Canva, you learn about everything, Wix.com, like all these things happen by having a support team and people just sharing ideas. Yeah, I'm spending 3 hours a day creating this, or I'm creating this on for IG or whatever it is. And someone else says, hey, it only costs me $20 a month to pay someone to do like 5 of these for me, whatever it is, and that gets back 3 hours of my day, and that's a lot more important than trying to save 20, 50, $100 a month on something, or having more of that, like, I'm in that same model of I need to control everything, but letting go is very difficult. Um, but it's not efficient. long term to do those things in any business. I mean, now there's other reasons I'm doing some of the stuff I'm doing for this build we're doing for the Nook, but it long term doesn't make sense for me to make base trim for a house,
Yeah.
right? Even if we're choosing to use those kinds of materials, I shouldn't be the one planing, cutting, install like that. That's silly because that's a whole day where I can't get other things done, accounting, budget, managing subs, whatever it is. It's the same type of deal. Once in a while, like I said, you have to know how to do every piece of the business, but you shouldn't be doing all the pieces of the business. Once in a while, it's okay, but that cannot be your system. Um,
Yeah.
and and you learn this as you go. I mean, at the beginning, you're doing all of it. You should be doing all of it, but you learn this as you go. People in the marketing and networking tell you, what to use, how to do this, make life more simple. I mean, there's the saying, "Work smart, not hard," which some people take offense to, but working hard will come. It's there,
Yeah.
but you got to be efficient. And if you're not efficient in real estate, I've watched many people fail because of that. And that's where people are like, how do I do this or that? And just make sure you're efficient, have a system and develop it early, and be okay with failing, and be okay with getting frustrated, and be okay with being stressed, and thrive under pressure, and you'll be fine.
And be resourceful.
Yeah, that's
That's
probably
the
number one.
biggest
Yep.
one.
That's probably number one.
You
Be
know,
resourceful.
I had to find all my answers.
Mhm.
Google was great. The trainings that are required are great, but there's also trainings so many above what's required.
Yep.
Going to those things, learning how to do it instead of just drowning and be like, I don't
Yep.
know how to do these things. Figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
you need to figure it out or else you're just gonna keep drowning.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is probably the biggest one. You're gonna be the resource for many people. I tell people, don't take offense to this. Be the man.
Yeah.
Be the man, or be the person that knows the person. Meaning, everyone calls you for anything. I know Morgan knows a great painter. I know Morgan knows a great mortgage lender. I know Morgan knows a good roofer. I know, they're going to call you for anything. Morgan, how the heck what's the best snow shovel for my driveway? Like, you have to have the answer for it, because the bottom line is they come to you because you know the person you are the person that knows the person, and you will get that done, and that trust is developed. And then guess what? They may not need to sell or buy a house, but someone they know does, and that's always going to be the person that's going to be calling every single time.
Exactly.
And then you can ask questions with feeling no guilt at all, saying, "Hey, by the way, I'm looking for a new car. Do you know somebody I can call? Hey, by the way," all of that happens, and then those resources pop up. "Hey, by the way, I need an IT person. I need someone that can do graphics." It's always there. And
Yep.
that when that builds, life becomes easier again. You have more free time. You can go on vacation. You become less stressed. The pressure isn't as big a deal. And then suddenly you become Morgan Schmidt, and it's easy.
Yes, that's why I started the team too, because I realized I was doing it all on
Mhm.
my own. And so I couldn't take that time off. You know, it was my son's birthday. I wanted to go on vacation.
Mhm.
I had brought my laptop. I was on it the whole time. And so kind of building up a support system. So even if you are on a team, even if you are by yourself, having the transaction coordinator, having an admin person to be able to take over, or, they have on Fiverr, you can just hire people to answer the phone if you're going on vacation.
Right.
So you need to allow yourself to live your life
Mhm.
and to not let
Mhm.
it consume you, and to be resourceful in finding these people to help support you. And it's necessary to take a vacation every once in a while.
And that's different for everybody, but the bottom line is you better take a break. And I know guys that are in this business that have been doing it a fair amount of time, but they're very young. These people are very young still, and the burnout is real. And I'm telling you, the burnout is real. And I was
Yeah.
really good at ignoring what was going on with me for a long, long time. And I'm just I'm just built that way. But I'm not saying that's a good way to go and that's not healthy. And it will catch up with you eventually. And it may catch you in the first 2 or 3 years. It may catch you 20 years down the road. but it
Yep.
will get to you. And if you don't, then you have all kind. And once it does get to you, it's so hard to get back. Um, it's like an injury in sports. You just have to trust that you've healed, and that's really difficult. So if you can avoid the injury by taking breaks, outsourcing, making sure you're living your life. You have a son, I have kids. Like those are more important than anything. I always say
Yeah.
that. And if you're not in front of those things, then you will not be successful in anything else anyway. So
It's so true.
people want
Like,
to
what are you
poo-poo that.
working for?
Hmm.
Uh,
Right. What is this for? What
yeah.
is this for? So if you don't ask that question from the very beginning, it's not going to work no matter what you're doing. And you got to be really, really careful with that. You can certainly be successful financially, whatever it is, but at the same time, none of that means a damn thing if at the end of the day you get punched in the gut and have to start all over. So
'Cause
trust
I
me on
did
that one.
I did when I switched over companies, I did, I was at the point where I was a little bit overwhelmed because I didn't have the
Mhm.
support. I didn't have my systems. Like, I didn't set myself up for success. And so, I was like, I'm just going to turn off all my advertising to switch companies. That was a
Mhm.
horrible, horrible idea. I do not advise. I didn't, I had my last closing, and then the next day I switched to EXP because I was waiting, to completely close out my old brokerage and move
Yep.
over.
Yep.
You don't have to do that. You can just transfer your listings.
Yep. You can do it either way,
You
but
can
yeah.
yeah, but you don't have to turn off your advertising.
You don't.
But, that did push me to the next level of, "Oh, I want to have a team. I want to do this together. I want to focus more on the marketing aspects. I want to
Mhm.
focus, more on the listing aspects. I want, my agents to be able to help me with the buyers, so I'm not just looking 24/7 and not actually growing." Um, so the burnout is real. I
Mhm.
was getting very burnt out. I was working, on my computer until 1 or 2 in the morning and then waking up to get my son off to school at 5 a.m.
Mhm.
And so you're not a superhero.
No.
You don't need to save the world by yourself.
No.
That's why, the Avengers are here. You got to have the whole team working towards the goal, you just can't be Superman. So,
That's right. You can't, and you won't,
nope.
and it's not possible, and you can try, and trust me, everybody's there's people probably watching and listening and saying, "Oh, but I can do that." That's different for me, whatever. I'm like, "Yeah, man, go for it." For a while, it seems like it's working. Trust me,
Yeah. You
it
think it
doesn't.
is.
You
You
think
think
it's
it is.
working. Yeah. It
Yeah.
seems like it is, but it's not. It won't
Mm-mm.
be. Yeah.
Nope. You just kind of, whew, you go
Yeah.
off the deep end, and then you're
Yeah.
like this crazy, stressed out person.
Mhm.
No one wants to deal with somebody who's
No one wants to
stressed
be
out.
around you. You question, like, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
It becomes it's one of those, like, and everybody else around you is like, "What do you mean, what the heck happened?" It's pretty apparent what we were watching a train wreck happen, but you don't see that.
No.
But eventually, and then you're like, "Holy crap! So what do I do?" Well, you you have to admit that you're just human. You're not a
Yeah.
superhero, and here is the system that you need to have. So just deal with it. You have to have support in life. You have to have support in
Yep.
business. It's the most important thing. And be resourceful. Morgan hit it on the head. That's number one. Take anything away from this one that you want, be resourceful is at the top of the list for sure. For sure.
100%. And even if you don't have to have all the answers, but
No,
you have to know where to
know where to
find
find
them.
them.
Yeah, and you
That's
have to
right.
have the drive to go find them. If
Hmm.
a client asks you a question and you just don't know the answer, don't say, "Oh, I don't know." Say, "I will get back to you tomorrow with that. Is there any other questions that you might have that I can find the answers for you?"
Hmm.
Because they don't need to be resourceful. Like you said, you're their resource.
Yep.
So,
Yep. It's so true.
and then drive too is probably
That can't ever stop.
that can't. Some people just, they don't have it. I I never understood. I
Yeah.
hit the ground running from the second, I'm a mom.
Hmm.
This is my career. I can't just lackadaisically sit around and be like, "Oh, if a deal happens, it happens."
That's
You
right.
know, you
Yeah.
can't do that. You need to make it happen. what is it all for? Say
Mhm.
if you quit your job or if you paid all this money to get licensed, that's another thing. It's like people will get their license and then they won't have a
Do nothing with
transaction.
it. I know.
And, why did you just spend all this time studying to pass your exam? Why did you just spend, all this money to get licensed to sit there and not try and be the best at it?
Yep.
So that's another thing. You get nervous when you're new, like, oh, people aren't gonna, they're gonna think I don't know what I'm doing. But there's so many resources where you can know what you're doing. You can go out and you can learn, you can just put your nose to the books and learn what you have to do. And then you can go tour homes by yourself. So
Mhm.
you can get a feel of what you're going to say. You can go to model homes, new construction. You can shoot a little social media video while you're there.
Mhm.
You can, just because you don't have clients doesn't mean that you can't get experience. Like
Yeah.
you
Go share an
can.
open house with somebody. Go just
Yep,
every pillar you can lean on, the faster you will get better at everything. And it's always about support and using those resources. It really doesn't get more simple.
yeah,
But you have to know how to do that. You have to be willing to do that. And if you do those things, then it's a no-brainer. You'll be fine. Absolutely be
exactly.
fine. Well,
Love it.
Morgan, this has been awesome. I'm
I love
so
it.
happy we finally got this first one done.
Me too.
I'm so happy this all worked out, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of these because you have so much insight, especially coming from not just the market you're coming from, but the experience you're coming from, just all the different things you've gone through in the last 3 years, even. There's so much more for you that's going to happen, and it's super cool to watch this. I'm very, very proud of you, and just
Thanks.
keep going, keep doing what you're doing. You have it completely dialed, so don't stop. Just know you're doing it right. Obviously, you can see that, and I'm looking forward to the next one of these.
Me too. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for having me, Shane. I
Good to
appreciate it.
see you. Good to
Good
talk
to
with
see
you.
you.
Yes, yes, and we will do this again very soon. Hopefully, we'll get this dialed in once a week, guys. Please give Morgan a thumbs up because that was a great episode, and she's going to have much more in the real estate world for you guys. This is the Real Estate Reward with Morgan Schmidt. I'm Shane
Thank you.
Bailey. Appreciate you guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Later.